Howdy champs, my name is Mohit and welcome to part 2. In part 1 we see that this puzzle is all about unjumbling a jumbled up word. So I said it's a mini puzzle, and the main purpose wasn't to have fun and games, but the main purpose was to teach you Actionscript. In fact, before I start explaining the script to you, let me hit Control Enter once again, and let's see the published preview. So this word is coffee. The next word is lemon or melon. You got to hurry up before the time is almost over, right? And this one is chocolate. I'm skipping this one is walnut. This is lemon, melon again. Computer flash. Anyways, so let's dive inside the actions panel and understand what exactly this was done. And let me tell you once again, the top layer is the AS3 layer. Okay, everything else is on the layer called everything else, by which I mean these three blocks: block 1, block 2 in the center, block 3 right at the bottom, this button which has been given an instance name of skip, and a handful of static dynamic text fields, a handful of a few classic static text fields, and a couple of classic dynamic text fields. Right, so they have been placed on a layer called everything else. Now let's get inside the actions panel and let's understand how the Actionscript actually works. Okay, up front I've used the stop parent semicolon inbuilt function, which will make sure that although this project has 72 frames, okay, since the frame rate is 24, it plays out over 3 seconds. This stop inbuilt function makes sure that the playhead does not go beyond the first frame. Okay, these are certain import directives, and they will get auto imported or generated as you're writing the code. Now let's talk about line number 8. I've declared a variable RNO for random number. What it first does is it generates a random number between 0 and 10. See, math.random parent into 10 will generate a random number between 0 and 10, and then this number could be a fraction as well. It could be something like 5.25 or 7.98. Then I subject it to yet another method of the math class, which is math.flow. Now what this does is it bumps down the number. For example, if the number generated, let's say, was 8.8, it will bump it down to 8. Even if the number generated was 8.99999, it would bump it down to 8. So math.flow method of the math class makes sure that the fraction is removed and you get a whole number. But in doing so, it also ensures that it hits the floor, not the roof. There's yet another method of the math class, which is math.seal, which bumps up the number, but as I said, this will bump down the number. So ultimately, the number generated will be anywhere between 0 and 9 actually, and only whole numbers will be fed inside this variable. Now I'm not given it a data type, and giving data types is not compulsory, people, right? I have yet another variable, answers. The type is array. Now array is a collection of values. In all, we have 10 values. The first value is at index number 0. The last is at index number 9. This is index number 1, index number 2. Now this is how arrays operate. They have indices. As so, this is index 1, this is index 9. And since I actually have a variable RNO1 or RNO, this number that it generates 0 to 9 will be very handy when we are working with these two arrays, which are answers and questions. Right. Now what I'm doing is, through the text property, right, I'm feeding inside a text field question this value. Now this value, let me put a semicolon out here and here as well. Right. Now this value is questions RNO. Let's say RNO is 4. So questions is this array, and it'll pull up the 0, 1, sorry, this is questions 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll pull up this value. Similarly, as far as the answers is concerned, it'll pull up this value. Right. So the question and the answer text fields which are on the stage will have this value. Let's say the number was 4, this rubber and this jumbled up word. Right. I've declared a variable delay, my delay rather, and I've set it to 2500 milliseconds, which is equal to 2.5 seconds. I've declared yet another variable I, and I've set it equal to 1. In line number 17, what I'm doing is I'm declaring a variable my timer. The data type is timer, and I'm making it equal to a new timer. Now if you've worked with the timer before, you know that it accepts two parameters or two values. The first value is the delay, and the second value is the repeat count. Now the delay upfront has been set to 2500 milliseconds. Now I'm adding an event listener to the timer, and I'm running a function called go. So whenever 2500 seconds elapse, initially a function called go is fired. And let's see what exactly happens when this function go is executed. Now pay a little attention here. This is extremely important. This is a new this might be alien to you. This may be a trick that I would want you to learn, really learn. See, I've declared a variable myMC. I'm data typing it to a movie clip. Since it's gonna store a movie clip, and which movie clip is it gonna store? It's gonna store, let's understand this first, get child by name. So I'm saying, okay Flash, get an instance of a movie clip on the stage, the name of which is block I. Now if you remember, the variable has been set, I has been set to 1. So initially I would want it to fetch block 1, and then I'm data typing it to a movie clip. Since I'm storing it inside a variable, the data type of which is movie clip. So in other words, what I'm doing is I'm actually, see this upper block, this one, Control Z, has been given an instance name of block 1. So in other words, I am referencing block 1 and saving it inside a variable myMC. Cool. Then I'm saying, hey Flash, make the alpha of this movie clip equal to a 0. In other words, I'm hiding it, I'm making it invisible. Alpha 0 is making it completely transparent. Then I'm incrementing I by 1. I plus plus means increment your variable by 1. Right. So what will happen when the timer fires the next time? This block 1 will become block 2. Block 2 is this block. You see out here the instance name is block 2. Right. And then it will reference block 3. So one by one I'm referencing each block by get child by name method. Then I'm data typing it to a movie clip, obviously because I'm saving it inside myMC, the data type of which is a movie clip. Then I apply alpha, I make it invisible. Not only that, people, have a look out here. Every time I'm decrementing the delay by 500. Yes, that's possible. Now again, this may be quite new to you. You might assume that once you enter a delay value, you cannot change it. No, you can change it inside the timer function. Inside the timer event, you can change it. So first time the timer fires, it fires after 2.5 seconds. But the second time the timer fires, it fires after 2 seconds. The third time it fires after 1.5 seconds. And it fires only 3 times. If you have a look out here, the repeat count is just 3. So what happens? The first block disappears after 2.5 seconds. The second block disappears after 2 seconds, and the third block actually disappears after 1.5 seconds. So in all, a person gets 6 seconds to give out his answer. Right. So you see, since the blocks disappear quite quickly, and every time the delay decreases, it makes the person playing this game even more anxious. But again, the whole purpose out here was to show you how the delay of a timer event actually works. Alright, in line number 29, I'm starting the timer. The timer, no matter what, cannot work unless you use the start parent method. So this start method is compulsory to start the timer. Right. Now let's consider line number 32. I'm adding yet another event listener to my timer. I had added one out here. The type was a timer, but this time the timer event is not timer but timer underscore complete. Now this function go again will be executed only once the timer is actually complete. Now that will happen once the timer fires 3 times, which will happen after 6 seconds. So once that happens, this function go again will be executed, and let's see what is inside it. Just one single ActionScript statement, which is play. Now people, if you remember, I'd made sure although the timeline has been extended to 72 frames, but upfront, since we have the stop parent method, it does not go beyond the first frame. Now because of the function called go again, this playhead starts to run, and it runs up till this frame. On frame number 72, have a look out here, I've used a blank keyframe, although for the ActionScript layer and for everything else I've extended the timeline. I made sure out here that everything gets cleared. So people remember to put a blank keyframe on the 72nd frame for everything else layer. Okay, as far as the S3 layer is concerned, the ActionScript is on the first layer and there is nothing else beyond that. So just an extension of frames up to 72, which is true for everything else too, but then on the 72nd frame we have a blank keyframe. So make sure that you insert a blank keyframe on the 72nd frame. Automatically it will get extended up to the 72nd frame. Now once it reaches the 72nd frame, the default behavior in Flash is that it has to go back to the first frame, which it will. And once it reaches the first frame all over again, the puzzle kicks off again. All the text fields appear, all the blocks appear at full opacity, and then the ActionScript is executed all over again. The timer event, the timer complete event is executed. All right, everything is actually reset. Right, and this ensures that after every 3 seconds, you see 72 frames at the rate of 24 frames per second equals 3 seconds. So once a question is answered by Flash, it will consume 3 seconds, and then it will be reset to the first frame, where everything will be reset. The blocks will come back at full alpha, at full opacity, and then it actually goes on in an endless loop. Right, then in the end, people, you see I've added an event listener to the button called skip. Now this small button out here is skip. If you notice, in the component parameters I've set the label to a skip. The instance name is also skip. Where did I get this button from? From the components parameters, from here. right? So I've added an event listener to the button skip, which reads like this: skip.add event listener. I am looking for a mouse event specifically of the type click. So when somebody clicks on the button, I would want a function called play to be executed, and all this button play does is it stops the timer, no matter where the timer is, whether it's in the whether the current count is 1, whether it's in the second cycle, or whether the current count is 3. We know that it just has 3 current counts, and then I'm telling it to go to and play 70. Now let's see what is 70. 70 is somewhere around here, right? I could have said go play 71 or 72. Wouldn't have actually made any difference, right? So it jumps onto the 70th frame. You can write 71 too. That's okay, people, right? So it goes to the 70th frame, and then it loops back to the first frame, and everything is actually reset. If you remember, we have stopped the timer out here, so the timer kicks off again, right? So this is the skipping procedure through the skip button, and that's all that is there to this ActionScript. Isn't too difficult, is it, people? But then again, I think that it teaches you a lot. It teaches you what are arrays, right? It teaches you the fact that you can pull up values from an array using their indices, using their index number. The first value is at index number 0, the last is at index number whatever. That's 0, that's 1, that's 2, this is 9. So the 10th value has an index number of 9, right? We see how the text property can be used. We understand the math.floor method of the math class. We see what is math.random method of the math class. It's used to generate a random number. Here in this case it's generating a random number between 0 and 10. If I replace 10 with 100, then it will generate a random number between 0 and 100. We see how timers can be used, how delay can be used inside timers, how the delay can be changed inside the timer. We also see how the timer complete event actually works, and then we see how we can add event listeners to buttons. We see how the timeline can be manipulated. So as I said, this tutorial wasn't really about playing a game, but it was all about understanding ActionScript. Okay, just appending your ActionScript knowledge, understanding Flash even more. So people, I hope you like this tutorial, and before I wind it, let me hit Control Enter to export the Swift Test the Movie. So this word is, yes, computer, and the next one is cooling. Let's skip it, and the third one is melon or lemon, right? So people, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, you learned something from it, and hope you will keep coming back for more. You have a good day, guys. Bye bye. Peace.